Well, welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Coordinating Director for Humanities Team, and that panel that we just listened to, Creating Health and Well-Being and Oneness, was awesome. So, wow. This is the Spirituality and Global Oneness panel. It's a new panel this year. It's extra special. We've enlisted the support of a truly fabulous panel. Do Miguel Ruiz, Patricia Cota-Robles, Kenji Kimura, and Rabbi Michael Lerner are joining me in a deep and profound discussion that will range from an exploration of our inner journey to the powerful evolution that is unfolding on the earth at this time. If you are journeying into oneness in your own life and are curious about the collective shift that is taking place in today's world, you are in the right place. Don't worry about taking notes unless you want to. On the Global Oneness Day site, there is an upgrade page where you can order MP3 links, transcripts, and CDs, and there is a $100 discount during the summit. I'm going to introduce you to the panel now. I'll introduce the panel members one at a time, and then we'll go straight to questions and panel discussion. Do Miguel Ruiz attended medical school to become a surgeon, but a near-death experience changed his life. Stunned by his experience, he began an intensive practice of self-inquiry. He devoted himself to the mastery of the ancient ancestral wisdom, studying earnestly with his mother, and completing an apprenticeship with a powerful shaman in the Mexican desert. In the tradition of the Toltecs, a Nagual guides an individual to personal freedom. Do Miguel is a Nagual from the Eagle Knights lineage and is dedicated to sharing his knowledge of the teachings of the ancient Toltecs. He is the author of the Four Agreements, The Mastery of Love, the Four Agreements Companion Book, and welcome to Global Oneness Day, Do Miguel.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be with all of you at this day that is very special for everyone. I think we're going to have a lot of fun today.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Do Miguel. And as I shared with the panel in the green room just before we came out, this is very humbling for me to be with these four just amazing leaders. Next, Patricia Cota-Robles is co-founder and president of the nonprofit education organization New Age Study of Humanity's Purpose, which sponsors the annual World Congress on Illumination. She spends her time freely sharing the information she is receiving from the beings of light in the realms of illumined truth. The divine intent of these celestial sharings is to give humanity greater clarity and understanding as we progress through these wondrous but often challenging times on earth. Patricia's philosophy is every person is precious and divine, regardless of how far his or her behavior patterns and life experiences may be from reflecting that truth. We are not victims of our lives. We are the co-creators of our lives. Now is the time to create the lives we have always dreamed about. And welcome to Global Oneness Day, Patricia.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. What a powerful, wonderful day to be joining with all of you. I'm delighted.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And next, Kenji Kimura shares and serves as an initiator of the universal quantum energy and a catalyst for the New Earth consciousness. Sharing the joy of awakening with the world describes his life work. Kenji has a true gift in bringing forth ancient wisdom and life lessons with simplicity, humor, and a lightness of being. His dedication to assisting others to enter the temple of their heart, connect with their true essence, and shed that which no longer serves them brought him to develop his own modality, quantum light weaving. Quantum light weaving is a unique approach to finding your soul purpose and deepening your psychological and spiritual awareness with ease and grace. The result is a comprehensive assimilation and application of ancient wisdom and joyful living. And welcome to Global Oneness Day, Kenji.
Hello. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dee, and thank you, audience, for attending on this beautiful day.
Mm-hmm. And next, Rabbi Michael Lerner is the editor of Tikkun Magazine, chair of the Interfaith and Secular Humanist Welcoming Network of Spiritual Progressives, and author of 11 books, including the 2006 national bestseller, The Left Hand of God, Taking Back Our Country from the Religious Right, Embracing Israel-Palestine, A Strategy for Middle East Peace, and Spirit Matters. And welcome to Global Oneness Day, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be with all of you.
All right, we are going to go right into the program because we have a precious hour here, and I thought maybe we could begin, Kenji, if you don't mind, just maybe you could start us off with a quick experiential exercise of maybe 5 minutes that brings us into divine consciousness.
Okay, thank you very much. And please don't do this while driving the car today, please. Okay, so let's relax the body within 1 minute through the breathing process. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And as you do this, very slowly and consciously, begin to relax all your facial muscles, your fingers, your toes, your leg muscles, your belly muscles. And allow the body to begin to sink in, figuratively speaking, with the Earth Mother. We're going to begin to breathe in now so that each one of us as a collective can come into a very present moment. And just simply let go of the day. On the exhale, let go of your to-do list. And just come into the now. Okay, we're going to begin to breathe first into the brain. Take a slow, deep breath of the light. And you can feel this light as any color you wish, be it cobalt blue, violet, pink, emerald, golden color. And allow the brain to begin to receive and to open up. Exhaling down the spine, releasing tension in the spine. Let it go all the way down through your feet and down through your arms and out the palms of your hands. I'm going to invoke now a cocoon of light around the body. And you can allow it to be as big as you wish. And let's together take another conscious, slow, deep breath into the heart. And just simply begin to be in your heart center, tapping into your still point. And imagine, if you will, an opening into the celestial realms, into that place that we call the oneness. And imagine, if you will, streams of light, spirals of light beginning to build within your heart. And this light will go into the body where it is needed for divine balance and harmony. And deep within your still point, begin to feel the power of the sun, the spiritual sun that lives within you as you. Allow the body to go deeper into this vibration of oneness. Allow it to move through your energy field around your body, into the earth, into the heavens, around the planet, into every country. Just allow. Be in this now moment. And create the intention that you're going to allow this flow for the rest of the day and into this weekend, into all aspects of your life. So as you are ready, slowly open the eyes. Let the power continue to move through every cell and every fiber of your being and your physical embodiment. And please remember to drink some water. Okay, Steve, it is all yours.
Oh, boy, so beautiful. Kenji, thank you so much. Let's just breathe into that here for 1 moment. That was truly beautiful. What a wonderful way to come into this panel. I thought maybe we could start with just some of the challenges in today's world as we unfold our conversation. And Michael, if I could pose this question to you, in Spirit Matters, you shared that we have wandered off the path into selfishness and materialism, and you lay out a vision for a spiritual life and moral vision that can be ours. Can you share a little bit?
About the vision or about the problems?
The vision for just how because of course you are a big spiritual activist with
yes.
very tangible programs. Yeah, so if you could take us through what's the path? You're holding a map. If you could take us through that.
Yeah, well, the fundamental position that we at the network of spiritual progressives take is that we need in the entire world, but certainly starting in the Western world, a new bottom line, a new way of assessing our institutions, our social practices, and hence our way of relating globally to the world. And that new bottom line, instead of judging institutions, corporations, government policies, the way that we act in our public life or the way we act in our private life, in terms of it being just efficient, rational, or productive to the extent that we maximize money and power, we need a new bottom line that says that we should be judged efficient, rational, and productive to the extent that we maximize love and caring, kindness and generosity, ethical and ecological sensitivity, enhance our capacity to respond to other human beings as embodiments of the sacred, and enhance our capacity to respond to the universe with awe and wonder and radical amazement at the grandeur of all that is. So that's a path, that's a strategy for how to begin to move towards a different way that can unite all human beings on the planet, because almost everyone, when you put this proposition to them, says, yes, of course I'd love to live in that kind of a world, but actually I live in a world dominated by money and power and selfishness and looking out for number one. So building a universal consciousness, building a unity, recognizing the oneness of all human beings requires not only an internal transformation, but an external transformation of our economic and political arrangements. And one of the ways to do that is to insist on this new bottom line of love and caring and kindness and generosity as the way to assess any particular program in terms of how much does it maximize our capacity to be loving or caring or ethically or ecologically sensitive, and to move from there.
Beautiful. Wow, a new bottom line of love, kindness, and new generosity. I love that. And, of course, you have very tangible spiritual activism programs. Before the end of the hour, we'll be sharing how people can follow you and your work. Let me just mention, just because you brought in New Bottom Line, there's a panel today in a few hours. It's at 5 o'clock Pacific time called New Bottom Line for Business, and it's about exactly this. Of course, its focus is business.
And I think we can change business by all of us insisting on a new bottom line, because it's very hard for business people when they're faced with the competing demands of being in an economy in which if they don't maximize their bottom line of money, people will move money to other businesses that do. It's hard for them in that circumstance. So we need to provide a support by building a society-wide new consciousness, a society-wide new commitment to love, caring, and kindness and generosity, and that not just in our society, but for the whole world. We need to be able to say, I want to see the day when the President of the United States ends his talk not by saying, God bless America, but by saying, God bless America and every other country in this world and every other people in the world, because we are all one.
Yeah, amen. And, of course, that's what Global Oneness Day stands for. So beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Michael. And Don Miguel, you've often shared that we should live in oneness each day and in every moment, and of course in your 4 agreements you talk about how to do this. Can you just share a little bit about the 4 agreements and other things that you might want to bring in here as we talk about oneness?
Well, talking about oneness, we can say that the big problem that we humans have is that we learn to love with conditions. And this is the root of the entire society, not just from the present, from also from the past. When we grow up, we only witness everybody loving with conditions. And we learn to love exactly the same way. Like I say, I love you if you do whatever I want you to do. I love you if you let me control you. And this is the way we learn to love ourselves also. We love ourselves also with conditions. And this is what becomes the biggest problem, because when we love ourselves with conditions, we are never good enough for ourselves, and we're not good enough for anybody. And this is when the search for perfection begins. We want to be perfect because we don't like the way we are, because we need to be a certain way. And if we're not in that way, our punishment is the rejection. In the personal case is self-rejection. And this is how everybody loves each other, with conditions. When we understand this point, we will understand all the conflicts that exist between humans. We will understand all the injustice. We will understand all the violence. We will understand also war. And this is because we learn to love with conditions. And we have to understand that conditional love is exactly the opposite of love. Then this is the way we should go to return to the real love. You know, we know this love, for example, when you have your first child in your hands, that you love that child no matter what. You are not expecting anything from the child. You know, this is the real love. Where we can understand that, for sure, we break all the separations that we build, all the resentments, all the hate's gonna go away, the envy, etc., etc. And this is the main problem. We learn to love with conditional. Everything is conditional, and we are not even aware of that. Then the new psychology needs to go exactly in that direction to recover self-love, because we cannot give what we don't have. Then how can I pretend to love everybody else when I don't even love myself? How can I pretend to love everybody just the way they are when I don't love myself the way I am? Then when we have that awareness, perhaps we can change the world that we create, or the story of our own life. We will not try really to change all the secondary characters of our story, but if we want to change our life, we need to change the main character, which is what we believe we are. Once that I change myself, then I can give that to everybody. How can I search for justice when I don't have justice with myself? How can I pretend not to be violent when I'm violent with myself, when I'm alone? Then this is the main problem. If we can break that problem, then the oneness just comes by itself. And I think this is a great week because we are talking about the earth, and it's a living being. It's our home where we live. Then we all together, we can do something about it. Of course, I don't expect that to happen right away or in this century. But if we can give the next step, we can go in the right direction. It doesn't matter how long it will take, but we're going in that direction. You know, I think that love is an equilibrium between gratitude and generosity. We are so grateful for everything that we receive. And when we receive, we are so touched that we start giving everything away. Then this is the real love. And I really believe that this is the main problem that we humans have, but because we learn to love with conditions.
Don Miguel, thank you so much. Wow, let me just say we are off to one start here in the what you all have shared so far, just the insight, the being very direct, just very powerful. And so, Patricia, we're going to move to you here, and I'd just like to ask you, you share, of course, that each person is divine and that we're not victims, that we, and as you talk about the collective, that we've entered a time of great challenge, but also of great opportunity, the greatest opportunity imaginable. Can you share what you and what is your vision for what is unfolding on the earth at this time?
Well, my experience is that there's an unprecedented shift of consciousness taking place on the planet, and each of us are really being called by that inner knowing, that divinity within us, that oneness within us, to now return to our highest divine potential. And so we're beginning to connect with the reality of this oneness. And the wonder of all of that that's coming forth from the higher realms is we're beginning to really remember, because we used to know it before the fall and before we fell into such dense separation and duality, before we created this fear-based, fragmented human ego that's in this dog-eat-dog looking out for number one consciousness. We used to know that every particle of life, no matter how minute, is interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent. And on a scientific level, we're now talking about the divine matrix, and this is probably Einstein's unified field theory. But what the divine matrix is, it's this all-encompassing presence that we may want to refer to as divinity or as God, the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, cosmic I am, all that is. And the foundation of this divine matrix is love. And every single thing that exists in the whole of creation emanates from this foundation of love, whether we're talking about enlightenment, wisdom, understanding, healing, no matter what it is, the basis and the foundation is that love. And when we begin to, on a very practical level, come into the physical plane and realize our sisters and brothers in the family of humanity, when we begin to understand that there is no separation, there's no such thing as us in them, with every single thought, word, action, feeling, belief, or memory that we express, it carries a vibration depending on what our attitude and frame of mind is at the time. And at any given moment, with every breath we take, we are either adding to the light of the world or adding to the shadows. And so those behavior patterns are affecting the whole of creation. Now, many times we've gone out and tried to change what's going on in the outer world. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be active and participate in outer world things, which we should, but we have to begin with what caused it in the first place. And what caused it is our consciousness and our awareness of the oneness of life instead of that separation. When we try to just deal with outer world circumstances, it's like trying to change the reflection in a mirror without changing the object that's causing the reflection. But when we connect with that oneness and realize that our thoughts are affecting all life, when it seems too monumental to try to change the consciousness of the planet, we go within the divinity of our own heart, and just from that sacred space start realizing that every man, woman, and child belonging to or serving the earth at this time resonates with the same divinity that we do, and that by sending love to that person, we can actually affect them through thoughts and feelings and lift them up. The universal law is, as I am lifted up, all life is lifted up with me. So when we begin with that consciousness, we can start shifting the reality. And then the higher consciousness we're moving into, whether we're calling it the superconscious mind or divine consciousness, the higher self, the Christ self, our I am presence, no matter what we call it, it is a higher level that transcends the fragmented fear-based consciousness of our human ego that helps us perceive the oneness of life. Then from that level, we can shift what's going on, and we will reach on a collective consciousness this critical mass or tipping point that everybody is talking about. And once we reach that tipping point of oneness, for instance, today is a huge quantum expansion of that consciousness because of this wonderful event that you're having. Once we reach that consciousness, then that critical mass creates an unstoppable shift and moves all life into a higher level. And we're doing that now in increments. In fact, that's why things look so difficult at this time, because there is this tremendous awakening. There is this greatly expanded influx of light taking place on the planet. And since there is no separation, we can't just say cancel, cancel, and eliminate all the garbage we've created. So when we invoke this light, the light enters the physical plane, and it pushes everything that conflicts with it to the surface. This is the time, biblically, I think, that was referred to as the time of screaming and gnashing of teeth, because we easily see the horrific things we've created, our miscreations, being pushed to the surface. What we don't see as easily is the incredible light that's pushing it to the surface. And this energy is coming up not to take us down the tubes and to wreak havoc in our lives, but so we can experience the results of our miscreation of separation and duality, learn how to transmute that back into the frequencies of oneness and reverence for all life.
Well, let me just again stop and say I just want to acknowledge, appreciate, and recognize the wisdom that you all have shared. Wow, just truly profound. And we're just getting started. We're not even at the halfway point. If I may, I'd like to pose a question, and maybe we can now go in reverse order. So, Patricia, we could start with you on this one. Neil Donald Walsh says that we live in a time of a separation pathology where we experience God up there and other people over there. And Ken Wilber says we live in a flatland where we experience the external world almost exclusively to the detriment of our internal life. From your vantage point, what is the greatest barrier to awakening to divine life and to experiencing this personally?
Well, I think the greatest barrier is that with this fragmented consciousness of our human ego, and plus the misunderstandings of a lot of the global world religions and things, we have been beaten down into this belief system that we are a worthless sinner and a worm in the dust. And we believe that somebody has to come and save us. We believe that the divinity within us. I mean, I've actually heard spiritual or religious leaders say that humanity is innately evil. And I've been in situations where they've been singing songs like, "What a Worm I Am." Well, as long as we believe that, we become who we believe we are. So what the beings of light in the realms of illumined truth are trying to remind us that there is nothing that is more inaccurate than that belief system. And even the concepts of evil or negativity, all evil is the absence of love. And the absence of love can manifest as greed and corruption and crime and war and poverty and disease and all of the maladies, but it is just the absence of love. So what's happening now is what the beings of light are really trying to help us understand, to connect with who we are. They're really reiterating to us that the divinity within us is the I am presence. And the reason they want us to acknowledge that is because, you know, when Moses spoke to the burning bush and the response was, I am that I am Alpha, I am Omega, I am the beginning, I am the ending. They said this all-encompassing presence of God, all that is, within which every facet of life throughout all creation lives, moves, breathes, and has its being, is known as the cosmic I am. And I comes from Alpha, meaning the beginning. Am comes from Omega, meaning the ending, meaning that God is all that is. And when we were first breathed forth from the core of creation, we were breathed forth as individualized expressions of I am. And this is why it is said that all that our Father, Mother, God have is mine. And when we say the word I am, when we say I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity, we connect collectively with the divinity and the heart of every person. And anything we say following those words I am, which connect us directly with the source of all that is, has to manifest. So when we say I am a failure, or I am worthless, or I am a worm in the dust, or I am poor, or I am sick, the energy following that has to carry that frequency. So as we connect with our divinity, our I am presence, and that of all humanity, it is moving us forward, a quantum shift into that oneness. And we can literally invoke light on behalf of every person on earth, because when we do it through their I am presence, it will always be done in perfect alignment with their divine plan and their highest good. So we can never interfere with anybody's learning experience by invoking light on their behalf, which helps them get their head above the mud puddle of their human miscreations and the negativity in their life effectively enough to begin recognizing their own divinity and invoking that light for themselves.
Beautiful. Really beautiful. Thank you, Patricia. And Don Miguel, as we go to you, let me also just expand this. I did share a question that was related to what Neil Donald Walsh and Ken Wilber have described as things not working. But I want to take fences down here too, because you may be your thoughts may be turning on something very important, very relevant to this discussion. And if you'd like to take this in a different direction than my question, you certainly may do that, Del Miguel.
Okay, the real conflict that exists in the human mind is not really between good and bad. Good and bad is just the result of the real conflict in the mind, because the real conflict in the mind is between the truth and lies. When we believe in truth, the result is that we are good. When we believe in lies, the result is that we will be bad in different degrees. Depends how deep or distorted is the truth, which means how deep is that lie. Because, but the real conflict is between the truth and lies. This is something that we all need to understand. Then we are searching for the truth from long time ago, from millenniums, without knowing exactly what the truth is. When the truth is extremely simple, because we may understand that the truth exists long before the creation of humanity and will exist long after the extinction of humanity, that the truth doesn't need to be proved. It just exists. And the truth is extremely simple. It's just a binary system, just like the computers. Everything that we see and hear in the computers is made by 1 and 0. And that combination creates all the virtual images that we see in the computer, that every time is better, better, and better, and better. Well, the entire reality is exactly the same thing. It's matter, and it's the force that moves matter. As we know, matter cannot move without a force moving it. And if it's in movement, cannot be stopped without a force to stop it. Then matter by itself cannot move. Matter has a beginning and has an end. But the force that moves matter is eternal. I call it life. And it's that duality, because it's life, the one who creates matter and is moving matter everywhere. And when we see our own physical body is made by matter and that force, which I call life. Then the volume of the matter is very small, but energy, life, is so big compared with matter, and is that life what creates matter. And life comes from a total power We understand in science that energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Then as soon as the power starts moving, the first creation is light. And the creation, and light have all the quantums. And in millennia, it creates all the matter that exists. Then it's so simple to see that there's no really difference between science and religion. It's just a connotation of the word. Then for science is energy, what creates everything. In religion is God. And in conclusion, we can say that there's only one being and is alive, and I call it God also. And we can say that only God exists, and everything is made by God, and everything will return to God, or to energy, whichever we want to use. Then when we have that awareness, we can put together all the difference that exists in humanity, and we become only one living being, because we know that our physical body has a beginning and will have an end, and sooner or later our physical body will die. But we are the force that moves the physical body, and we are eternal. When we understand that, there's no reason to feel any kind of fear, because it's so simple. We cannot be destroyed.
Beautiful. So much insight, and it's just it's so wonderful to have four leaders such as you are here, and in your own words, in your own heart language, expressing these truths. We're going to go to you next. Let's see, Michael. And Michael, same thing. I referenced this question relating to Neil Donald Walsh and Ken Wilber, but there are no fences here. So if your mind is turning on something, please come in with what you'd like to share.
I think that there's a way in which we can talk about oneness that has a kind of airy-fairy quality to it, namely that we experience the oneness with all, but we live in a world in which, in the actuality, there are some 7,000 to 8,000 children who will die of starvation or malnutrition today, and we live in a political and economic system in which there are some 12 million children each year who are dying of malnutrition. We have a wildly unequal distribution of wealth and power in this world, and that. Hello, are you hearing me? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that needs to be overcome. That's why one of the ways in which I would say I know that people get to a oneness consciousness is when we recognize that the pain of any part of, if we are one with all, then the pain that exists in any part of us is our pain. And the way that you know that people are there is when they support taking care of every part of our universal body. That is, the oneness of all is both a physical, material, and spiritual oneness. So that has led us in the network of spiritual progressives to propose, number one, a global Marshall Plan, a domestic and global Marshall Plan, so that to dedicate 1% to 2% of the gross domestic product of the advanced industrial countries to each year for the next 20 years to once and for all end global poverty, homelessness, hunger, inadequate education, inadequate health care, and repair the global environment. And secondly, and you can read this on the details of what this would look like on our website, spiritualprogressives.org. You'll find the Global Marshall Plan there. But we also are calling for an environmental and social responsibility amendment to the United States Constitution, an amendment that would, number one, equalize power between all people, because if we're all in oneness, then some people with more money don't have a right to have a greater power in shaping our public life. So the environmental and social responsibility amendment, and point number one, requires that all elections be publicly funded and no other source of money allowed, so that rich people don't have more impact in the elections than anybody else. Number two, it requires corporations, particularly the corporations that make incomes of above $50 million a year, to get a new corporate charter once every 5 years, which would only be granted if they could prove a satisfactory history of environmental and social responsibility to a panel of ordinary citizens who would hear testimony from people all over the world about the impact of that corporation on their local environment and on their lives. So you see, if we're going to talk about oneness, then oneness has to manifest in our equally caring about the well-being of every person on the planet, so that our oneness is not simply something going on inside us. Of course, it has to also be there. The inside is important, but so we are fundamentally, when you say oneness, then we have to recognize that we are one with the totality of all being. When the planet is suffering from the potential of environmental destruction, that pain affects every single one of us, so that there's a universal depression going on right now. I don't mean an economic depression. I mean an emotional depression as we feel the pain of the earth. We are one with it. There is no such separation. The universal oneness means that we are totally one with the pain of all human beings and one with the pain of the planet as its life support system is being undermined. So there's no separation, and of course we have to also deal with this in terms of our own internal selves. But our internal selves are inseparable from the selves of all other beings on the planet.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, let me share. What's interesting is our very first panel today was called Catalyzing an Awakened World, and likewise, we had perspectives that kind of laid out all sides of it. That was Michael Bernard Beckwith, Andrew Harvey, Panache Desai. Andrew Harvey, was kind of laying out much of your position, Michael. And Michael and Panache were coming in with other aspects, such as what the other distinguished speakers here are coming in with. And so,
well, I hope that anybody who's listening to this, I hope that this will not simply be a, quote, good idea, but they'll actually go to that website, spiritualprogressives.org, and join us in the struggle to actually transform our world, because, again, we are one with all being, but that means manifesting that in actual caring, not only internally caring, but in the way that we treat the rest of the people of the world. And that first and fundamentally means sharing and caring for the others, sharing with what we have with all other beings, not shedding our eyes and saying, oh, I love everybody, but meanwhile you can starve to death while I'm living fat off the hog.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course the spiritual path always has two dimensions, and it seems every spiritual teacher talks about them, the inner journey dimension, but also the spiritual activism dimension. Spirituality is both. It's not just mindfulness or something. But thank you. Again, this what I feel is just real pure heart energy, where nobody's pulling any punches. We're being very direct about what we see and feel. Kenji, can I bring you in at this point to share your perspective, please?
Okay. So let's do this experientially, so we don't intellectualize this. So let's just check in for a moment and see what parts of us, that's emotional and mental, spiritual, physical, energetic, whatever you want to call it, and just tap in those parts that might still be separated from our core, our I am. And just simply begin to bring it into the heart, whatever it may be, kind of like coming to a round table kind of a place. You might want to see a circle where these aspects are adjoining the circle of light that we carry within naturally. And as we do this and begin to become more whole, that power, that force, that vibration is going to naturally extend out into the world. And ask yourself, in which direction now do I need to move my feet? Meaning, what kind of action can I take in the world that will make a difference? And these are little steps that lead to big steps. So it could be when we're out in the world and you see someone in pain to offer a hug to them, or a high five, or a smile, or just a recognition. Okay, take a deep breath. And know that we each have a big role in the affairs of humanity and this planet. And that if we move our feet after we pray, that's a step that we each can take. And imagine if everybody today prayed and moved their feet in some small, measurable way physically, what a difference energetically it would make for tomorrow.
Yeah, let's breathe into that. Thank you, Kenji.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, here we are. We're down to 13 minutes, and I'll need to take some of that to introduce the next panel. So, if I may, just to ask each of you, we'll go again. Maybe start with Patricia, and if each of you could just spend 2 minutes with your closing thoughts and a website where people can go to follow you and your work. I'd much appreciate that. Patricia?
Yes, thank you. My website is eraofpeace.org. That's just ERAOFPEACE, eraofpeace.org. And there's all kinds of things on there that are free, and you can sign up for a free monthly newsletter and all of those kinds of things. There's videos, there's webinars, there's, your access to Facebook and all of those things, and we would love to stay connected with all of you. This is an incredibly powerful time, and this year, 2014, we've been going through monumental shifts of vibration, and with the activities of life, the equinox in the spring, and the eclipses and the Grand Cross alignment, and the summer solstice, and now these expansions of light of this eclipse that we've just experienced. And I think it's interesting, I'll just comment, that the first one on the 8th of October, the lunar eclipse, brought in an incredibly powerful frequency of the feminine polarity of the divine feminine to bring in the love nature, a higher frequency of divine love. And the one that we had yesterday, the 23rd, was to bring in a whole momentum of a higher frequency of the divine masculine. And these energies are balancing within all of us. They're activating our right and left brain hemispheres, creating the space for awakening our crown chakra. And this is happening for every man, woman, and child on the planet, whether they're aware of it or not, through his or her I am presence, through that higher aspect of their consciousness. And the way that's happening is because there are millions of awakened light workers on the planet, just like those joining in today, that are holding that sacred space, and through the oneness, creating the opportunity for the I am presence to utilize that light for each person. I think with the divine masculine coming in yesterday so powerfully, I'm very honored to be on this panel with 4 wonderful, enlightened men. I think that's often rare when I'm on panels. So many times on the spiritual panels, there are more women than men. So I think that's really wonderful. So my real quick word is just know that as we go through our moment every single day, just as everyone has expressed here, asking yourself, how can I add to the light of the world? How can I be the most effective instrument of God in this physical plane? But also knowing every moment, with every breath, with every thought, word, action, or feeling, we are either adding to the light of the world or the shadows. So for us to go through the day saying, is what I am thinking or feeling now adding to the light of the world or the shadows? And if it's not adding to the light of the world, transmute it through love and power, and then say, what do I want to empower instead of that? And create a new thought form, a new empowerment, a new vision of what you want instead of the negativity. We're powerful beyond our knowing.
Thank you, Patricia. And Don Miguel, if you could take just a couple of minutes.
Well, my website is Don Miguel Ruiz, and you will find there all my activities, the activities of my children, Don Jose Ruiz and Miguel Ruiz Jr., as well as the other teachers to also work with us, like Gaya Jenkins and Heather Ash, etc. Well, I just want to everyone to remember that the most important part of us is to get our inner peace, to get our inner joy, because we all was born with the right to be always happy. And our happiness, we can say that is the hope that people around us have. They see you happiness, and happiness is very contagious, and they can also laugh with you, play with you, and with your joy, you really can help a lot of the people that you love so much. But remember, everything begins with you. You cannot give what you don't have. Then let your joy, your love, and your happiness shine wherever you go and rise people with you. This is with all my love for all of you.
Thank you so much, Don Miguel. And next up, Michael, if you could share closing thoughts in a couple minutes and a website, I'd share that website again people can go to become involved in your work.
Sure. There are two websites. The first one is Spiritual Progressives, with an S at the end, spiritualprogressives.org. And that's for our interfaith and secular humanist and atheist welcoming organization that is actually trying to bring the loving teachings that all the different religious and spiritual traditions into the world of action, into the world in which we try to actually change the distribution of wealth, re-democratize our society, and insist that every human being on the planet is equally important, and that our needs as human beings is to have the fulfillment of the needs of every other human being on the planet and to care for the planet as well. And so we have some very specific programs on how to do that, including the Environmental and Social Responsibility Amendment to the Constitution and the Global Marshall Plan. But in addition to that, we have a magazine called Tikkun, Tikkun. So people can go to our website, tikkun.org. Tikkun is a Hebrew word. It means to heal, to repair, and to transform. And that healing, repair, and transform of the world is what we all need. So to actually take the idea of oneness and make it real, we have to build a world in which we are all interdependent, not just in the reality that we are all interdependent, but in our consciousness in such a way that we act to care for everyone in the world equally. And that eventually will lead us to a world in which we eliminate borders, we have free immigration from one country to another, in which we care about the economic well-being, the political well-being, the freedom, and the capacity to love of every person on the planet. I believe that is doable in our time. It is not a utopian fantasy, and we have to go for our highest vision of the good. Right now, we can create the world that we really want, a world in which love is the bottom line.
Wonderful. And thank you so much, Michael. I truly appreciate it. And Kenji, certainly this is why we've been rotating top to bottom, bottom to top, because there's so much wisdom and so much just beautiful heart energy here. So Kenji, if you could share closing thoughts and a website where people can go to follow your work.
Okay. If you'd like to be on our list in our community, you can go to kenjikumara.com and sign up for our newsletter. So in closing, I'd like to thank Steve, Indeed, Humanities team members and staff and volunteers, and our panel today, Michael, Patricia, Don Miguel. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to meet you and reconnect. So I would say breathe in and to make a choice today and to acknowledge that you do make a difference and that no matter what is happening in your life, physically, emotionally, medically, psychologically, spiritually, energetically, that we are so much more than that, and that we have the innate ability, skills, talents, and knowing to transcend our problems, our challenges, our doubts, our fears, our not knowing, and all the places where we feel that we may still be stuck in this world of duality and resistance and conflict. That your true world in the oneness is that of eternal peace, unconditional love and allowance, joyful expression, spontaneous beingness, and all of the other levels that you've dreamed about in your life. All we need to do is to move our feet each and every day. Thank you all. We love you, and until next time, as they say in Hawaii, aloha.
Perfect. Aloha. I was born in the Aloha State, so
right
speaks
on.
to me. And Kenji, I'm imagining that speaks to everybody on this call. Thank you, and thank you to each of you. I just want to share this conversation during the hour is so much what is at the heart of Global Oneness Day. These twin aspects that are always what spirituality is: the aspect of going within and communing with the divine, and of course that means seeing that there is only one presence and that the divine is within, and yes, the divine's up in the clouds, and yes, it's over there sideways, but it's also within, and so that's such an important message. And then the second message, that to the extent this is true, that there's one presence, the divine presence, God, universe, life, that we want, our natural inclination is to, basically we come into a new self-identification, don't we? We see that person in need on the corner, that recycling project, this project involving climate change, well, that's a part of ourself. It's no longer something peripheral to the family. That is our new self-identification, and so we naturally reach out and help. And so this is what Global Oneness Day stands for, and I want to so much thank these four speakers that have been here with me. I'm truly humbled to be with them. Don Miguel Ruiz, Patricia Cota-Robles, Kenji Kimura, and Rabbi Michael Lerner. And I also want to share, just to kind of bring this together, I suspect my home is a lot like many of your homes. I engage in these practices with my kids and my wife of going within and experiencing the divine and being transformed by that. And then likewise, these themes of helping in the community during the holiday. We celebrate Christmas. We like to talk about the other spiritual traditions as well, but at Christmas, often over half of our funds go to buying blankets for the homeless and adopting families and things, rather than just buying presents for the kids. So, again, that seems to be what oneness is. It's this beauty of feeling the divine within, and it's also the outer aspect of how can I help the community and world around me. So I want to so much thank these amazing speakers that certainly brought those themes through. So thank you again to each of them, and it was an incredibly thought-provoking conversation. I also want to thank my partners and colleagues in Humanities team who have been working tirelessly on this Global Oneness Day program. Finally, thank you to all of those listening by phone, webcast, and replay. We have just a terrific audience here. It's an enormous audience who've registered for Global Oneness Day and who are participating live during the summit. I also want to thank the tens of thousands who are participating in on-the-ground programs, including in Monterrey, Mexico, church services around the world, the Global Rhythm Circle, and other programs. This is our 5th year celebrating Global Oneness Day, and in the first 4 years alone, over 100,000 registered to participate in just the summit. Global Oneness Day has become our Earth Day for an awakened humanity. I'd like to invite you to leave any comments you may have on the Spirituality and Global Oneness event page relating to this panel. It's on the Global Oneness Day site. And I also want to invite you to join in the conversation by using hashtag G1Day on your social channels. That's Facebook and Twitter. Next up is the new leadership model for the 21st Century panel. This is a stellar panel featuring Urban Laszlo, Ambassador Anwar Chowdhury from the United Nations, Bill Urey, Steve McIntosh. Barbara Fields will be moderating this panel. It's going to be very inspiring. Don't miss it. But first, we're going to still ourselves and be quiet for 10 seconds so we can center ourselves in oneness with the divine and each other. We call this a oneness moment. And let's go ahead and begin our oneness moment now.